Camera's gonna be on you the entire time, so Sharon, you're gonna have to get over it.
Okay.
We
Out with a warning.
Hey, Nick, can you turn the camera? That's over there.
You gotta throw something.
There.
Good, Alex?
Yes.
Welcome to the regular meeting of Moab Tourism Advisory Board for January 13th, 2026. It is 3:01 p.m. We'd like to call the meeting to order. Introductions. I'm Lori McFarland, chairperson.
Bill Williams, vice chair. Jason Taylor, board member, MTAB rep.
Ron Martinez, Grand County Commissioner.
Leslie Robal with Madden Media.
Sharon Kinsley, board member.
Allie Hartford, Moab Office of Tourism.
Nick Saleta, Moab Office of Tourism.
Beagamester Moab to Monument Valley Film Commission Director.
Cora Phillips, Moab Chamber of Commerce, board member.
And we have folks online. We've got Florian Ehrman, who will also be doing a presentation momentarily. And I'm looking for other people. I can't see Alex Porcheski online. You still with us, Alex?
Yeah, he's there.
Cool. And Howard Turnholm, thank you so much.
Greetings. Yeah.
Thanks. And Leslie Robal, who is actually right here, so the computer just hooked up. She's doubled up. Thank you all for being here. Before we start, we'd like to find out if there are any conflicts of interest, disclosures, or ex parte communications to disclose. Hearing none, we're going to move on to citizens to be heard. We thought we might have some citizens to be heard today. None online? Okay, moving through the agenda. We're going to start first thing with our presentation from Florian Herrmann. He is what I would call a specialist expert in things that happen in the European continent. And he has offered to share some wisdom. I feel like in our goals for 2026, I would very much like to have the board expand their knowledge and ability to contribute in the community to what we bring based on the knowledge that some of our mentors can help us with. And I feel like Florian would be a phenomenally good mentor if we will listen to his experience, to what's happening. Obviously, geopolitically, there are lots of challenges that change every morning when I turn on the news. And maybe he can distill it down and help us when we're trying to make some decisions about our international buys and where we want to spend our efforts and dollars. Is that a decent introduction to where we're going there, Florian?
Yes, that's an incredible introduction. Thank you. I couldn't do it better. Thank you. All right. Well, hello to Moab and to the other parts of the country. And quite a few people know me. So thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. And I will not take too much time away from you guys. I'm more kind of here a sounding board in case if you have questions as well. So kind of to explain what we do is like my company is Herrmann Global. And we are a tourism marketing company. We are specialized to help the lesser known destinations getting international attention. That's really what we do all day. We're very big in storytelling, content marketing, and research. These are kind of our strong suits. And yes, I talked to Lori a little bit in the past, and I'm very passionate about helping small town America to see kind of what we can do to get the right international travelers into the destinations. So I did put a quick presentation together, just kind of what I see on the global market that's relevant for Moab, specifically for Moab as well. So I might just share that screen here really quick. And you guys can just tell me if that's visible, that you guys can you see everything? Okay, perfect. Yes. All right. So, like I'm here kind of to bring you tough news and good news. Like, I'm not someone sugarcoating to say, hey, everything is great. I just try to evaluate kind of how it is in Europe, what people think right now about coming to the United States, and but also what are the opportunities, and that's really kind of what I look at it. And there's some good things on the horizon as well. So we look a lot at the news, especially last year when I look at 2025. We had a lot of tough news, and we know what kind of these news and these headlines were. We don't have to kind of highlight them all, but it's we are in this challenge of a situation where we have two big headwinds. The one headwinds is more the political situation globally, right? So there's more negative news about the U.S., especially about the administration, but also where the news says about things about border security. And then, we see also like, for example, the situation, what happened with Canada and the trade tariffs. And there was so many tough news last week. While we kind of started very well last year into 2025 with actually a lot of international travelers already booked their trips to the US, as we pivoted through the year, it was pretty good until, let's say, July, right? So we still saw some declines, but not significant declines. The second half of the year, where usually international travelers start planning for this year, right? So kind of what they're going to do, they usually plan earlier. There was more hesitant of bookings, and we saw that the travel agencies actually felt that pain of, especially where they see that the US slumps as political hits demand. The one headwind is the politics. The other headwind is also the exchange rate, and ultimately it's pretty expensive to come to the US, and I can explain on that more. I did something specific for Moab on this. So we are very good in research and sentiment. And for example, I just looked at the Google search data just for Moab of international travelers from UK, Germany, France, Italy, Benelux. I just picked these markets. Do they search for Moab on the internet, on Google, right? And when I look at this year over year from January through November, the search drops. The searches, they dropped by 30%. What that tells me, this is not bookings, this is just interest, right? I'm on the internet, I'm thinking about going, I'm trying to figure out what I can do in this area, things to do, what are the hotels. But we see that the intent has dropped by 30%. I also picked only these four markets, and did not include Arches National Park or Canyonlands. These are big gorillas in terms of searches. Everyone searches for that. But I just specifically used Moab. But just with Moab alone, we see like there are every month from these markets, 90,000 searches. Now it's 63,000 searches. It's less last year, right? I benchmarked this, for example, to Sedona and Jackson Hole. Jackson Hole has less international searches than Moab. Sedona about slightly more on this. When I benchmark it to two destinations where we kind of see the similar national park destinations, one is nearby, that's just Mesa Verde country, that's Colorado. On purpose, I picked someone in a different state. They're doing slightly better, but also not good, like minus 23%, right, on these markets. And Sedona is minus 18. So just to kind of give you some comparisons on the benchmarks on that. And more than happy to be a sounding board afterward on this as well, if you have any questions. I looked at the USA International Inbound Travel Sentiment Report. So we have a very healthy audience on our travel brand, Visit USA Parks. That's a national park road tripping brand. And we ask every year through the year, January through April, May, where we ask them, are you planning a trip to the US? Tell us what you're going to do, where you're going, what you're spending, what your activities, how you plan books, everything is in there. And I just show you some highlights that also are encouraging. And that's something that I really kind of want to share with you guys on that. So in this report, and I don't go through all the report because we don't have the times, but we have demographics in there, we have length of stay, budget, how they book trips, what the booking windows, the travel preferences, and also kind of how people make decisions based on marketing. So we kind of share this a little bit with you guys on that. So first of all, we're screening an audience that actually has a very high intent to plan a trip to the United States. So when people fill out the surveys, the majority says, yes, I'm actually planning a trip in 2025 and 26 to come to America. So for example, while you have minus 30% drop in Moab, we still have 70% of the people coming, right? So think about it. This is not like it's down, but there's still quite an amount of international travelers coming. And the goal is like, how do we get these international travelers back up, right? Like, how do we get more of these? One thing is what I ask this audience that comes to America and wants to plan a trip here. We ask them, which of the following states do you like to visit? And I can really encourage this with the national park travelers that Utah is the number one. Like in the past, for example, we do this every year over the last 3 years before and after COVID. California was always number one. And this last year was the first time where actually Utah outperformed Arizona and California and moved to number one. And I can also really give a lot of credit to the whole Utah Office of Tourism and all the communities of what great that work they do to make that work, that Utah has really a great brand in the world and is really on the map here on that. We also ask our audience, if you're here, what do you want to do, right? So, and of course, we're targeting a national park audience, but of course they want to see national parks, no question. But the other things are interesting to me, right? So they really want to do this road tripping experience, right? They want to see state parks, which often are totally underrated, where we say there are some incredible state parks, small towns, cities, native culture, and then it still goes on. For example, other things like beach and guest ranches, culinary activities are a little bit lower, but I also really highlight the Native American experience as something that is one of the top attractions why international travelers come to this country on that. This is a very important chart that we look at it every year. It is because we're all in the travel marketing and decision business, right? How can we target a traveler and somehow help them making a decision to visit a specific place? And we ask them, what is it that inspires you most? What type of content, right? And that's really kind of where we're looking at it. And number one, and it has been, is really travel blogs and really good content on the internet. If we have very good content on the internet that's tied to social media, is very, very strong and is a huge decision maker from a variety of sources. We have a huge Facebook audience, a total of 150,000. Like usually, yes, when we start screening people that are on Facebook, they say Facebook is really inspirational for them. But besides of Facebook, what's really inspirational for them is these guidebooks, right? How can we get more content in these guidebooks? That's a very old traditional print method, but these guidebooks, very, very important. And then also what is encouraging for you is your destination website. I cannot stress enough how important it is that you have really good international content on your destination website, not auto-translated or not AI-driven, but real content by human people. I speak on the human people element a lot, especially in Europe. A lot of people are kind of hesitant to read AI-generated content, and that's kind of what you've been seeing as well. It actually turns them off. The stars are really for the destinations that can create really authentic human-generated content that connects with the traveler, like these micro-influencers, bloggers, all these things are very powerful. And there's other things too, like search engines, right? I don't pick it all, like brochures, Instagram, YouTube, hotel website. The one thing that I wanted to be very honest about it is when it comes to tour operators, they have a big element in the decision-making plan, but not necessarily in the planning plan, but not in the decision-making plan. So often international travelers go to a travel agency and they already have pre-made plans to say, hey, I've seen something on the internet and this is what I want to do, right? So the inspiration and travel decision where they're going, especially also in the United States, often comes through the internet by reading content on that. That's just kind of what I see. The online travel agency, for example, has a little bit of a less impact on that. But again, like what we see is the authentic content piece is really something that moves the needle, especially for destinations like Moab on that. So we don't work with them, but we've met them at a conference. There's the City DNA. This is a European organization, and they kind of released an article last year that was really interesting. And they said what destinations really need to know for travel marketing in Europe to target the Europeans. We talk about Europe. And the number one trend they are seeing for the European travelers making travel decisions, that's not just our research, it's a social and immersive content leading with digital inspiration. And for example, that's where 33% of travelers now site, there's social media ads. That's not even content. That's just ads. It's a source of travel inspiration. And the Gen Z is even bigger. And what was really fascinating to me is the number 2 trend, what they're saying is natural beauty still sells. Like that is a big shift from the European travelers, that they want to go away from the cities and want to see more natural beauty. So we have these cards really here very strong for Moab on that. We see this also, this is another confirmation with an article that came out. This was just recent in December. But even in the UK, like big articles say why travelers are now opting for lesser traveled US destinations. Again, the trend shows clearly there's growing demand for these communities like Moab for the international traveler that we really can tackle onto that. And I put this picture on the Mesa Verde National Park just because this is kind of this undiscovered place, but we have seen with Mesa Verde country, because we work with them on international as well, they had seen a year of growth in Colorado, not just on the international side because it was down, but on the domestic side as well, because there are similar trends where travelers want to see kind of these lesser known destinations on that. Not talking too much about spending, but the ones that are coming are spending more. So like the majority of the travelers from Europe that come here spend in the destination about more than $5,000. So we actually see that even increasing up to $10,000, where they say this is kind of when I'm on trip, I'm spending about $10,000 on that trip. A lot of people ask me about this national park fees, right? That increase that is all in the news. Of course, it stirs the news, but I also wanted to give you the sense of peace on this, that the fees, while this is in the news, the ones that are coming are not quitting, canceling a trip because the fees went up from $30 to $100 or $200, whatever it is. Because when they spend that much money, I mean, they can absorb that cost. It's more that it's a nuisance in the news that kind of goes around, and it hits more the receptive operators, which we can talk about that as well. How people plan a book and book a trip is very, very good to know. So we always ask the questions, what is your expected means of booking a trip to the United States, right? And we have seen this always every year consistent, that the majority, they go on multiple websites and book a piece here and book a piece there and piecemeal it together. And that's kind of what their trip is. Sometimes they go to a travel agency just to get to book a flight, and then maybe to rent a car. But then all the hotels, the activities and things to do, they do this by themselves with all these different websites. So again, being on these review sites, being in the content piece, having really good itineraries, all this kind of stuff, authentically driven and trusted, is super, super important for having travel decisions for international travelers to come. That's pretty much it. Like, we have more information, but I also want to respect the time here, for the board. The one message that I want to get across is, so we have these negative headlines, and there is the trust of a lot of European travelers to visit the US. There's a way to win that trust back. And the way how I see this 200%, how we win the trust back, is really in authentic storytelling. The authentic storytelling is something where we can really show that, hey, these destinations, it's not what you hear in the news. They actually are safe. They are welcoming. They are beautiful. They have always been like that. And that's kind of what I want to encourage you, is do not give up on international marketing, because these international travelers are coming back. And we have the World Cup. We have not even talked about that as well, and the events. That will definitely be the lift for international travel this year as well. With that, I leave it like this here, and I'm open to any questions. I will also share the presentation with you afterwards if you want to have that data.
That was my question. Thank you.
Is there, Ali or Mick, can he send the presentation to you guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you mind that, Florian, if you would send it to the Moab Office of Tourism so that the two of you can connect also? Awesome. And we have a couple questions. Go ahead.
Yes.
Do you at all work with the Utah Office of Tourism?
Yes.
Okay, and I mean, in what capacity?
So we do two things with the Utah Office of Tourism. We provide a lot of data. So for example, what you've seen earlier with the data and the research, we provide them a lot of sentiment data and booking data for the specific regions, including Southern Utah, by the way. So there's booking data available that is very valuable. So that's the one component. And the other component is we are doing a co-op with the Utah Office of Tourism, where we invite destinations to participate every year, where the Utah Office of Tourism pays for the lead generation campaigns with the tour operators. So often when we create campaigns to create demand, we generate leads out of these campaigns. To fulfill those leads, we provide these leads to the travel agencies overseas, where they can actually follow up and do these complete these packages with them.
Florian, aren't there several counties in Utah that you work with?
Yeah. So we
Tell
work
us a little
with
bit about that.
Yeah. So we work with just south of you guys is San Juan County. So we do quite a bit, and we do this a lot with the Utah Grant. So there's this matching grant program where they receive funding from the Utah Office of Tourism. Then we work with Southern Utah with MTAB, and we work with Cedar City. We work with Garfield County. That's then we work with Park City very much, by the way, about the winter product with skiing. And then also with like the Capitol Reef region, we work with that county. And then also we work with Cache Valley, and then with north of Salt Lake, that is Antelope Island. So that's, I think I summarized it. These are all the partners we work with.
And full disclosure, you have worked with High Point to a bit in the past. That's how I met Florian, and I just feel like he has so many insights for a market that for me has been very confusing lately. So it just helps to have additional context. Brian, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question as well. So you'd mentioned content and pairing that up with social media. Who are some of the big content creators that are out there that a DMO should be looking at connecting with?
Yeah. So the big content creators, like there's, I mean, off the top, when we just look around, the Utah Office of Tourism has usually some good partnerships. For international, the content creators, that there's some magazines and stuff like this where the good content creators have to think about it. Like we do a lot of stuff with our Visitors Parks platform. I mean, there's the America Journal, but that's more offline. But even if it's offline and good content, it still has a lot of high value. And then I think it's really, so what the Utah Office of Tourism has done a great job with, and I have to really say that, is they have a lot of these, I call it micro influencers, content creators that come into the destination and create the content, but these are really more the smaller ones. I mean, you can go with bigger brands and everything. My challenges with the bigger brands, if you want to have my feedback, is like, you might not be as special to them. Like if you are working with smaller content creators, Moab, they can do a lot for Moab. The bigger ones, they might just say, okay, here, like let's say National Geographic or whatever it is, they might do something for you, but then they move on to the next project, right? And that's kind of where I see that. Yeah.
I think my question kind of gets to are those micro influencers, is there trust there in the market?
200%. I mean, you have to vet them well, right? It really comes down on the engagement rate. If the engagement rate is very high, that's what you can measure, then the trust is there.
Okay. Thank you.
Sharon, go ahead.
Just real quick, your name sounds very familiar. Have you worked with the Moab area before?
Yes.
Yes, I thought the
Yeah.
same thing.
Okay.
Like I've heard him before, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We did a Visit USA Parks campaign last year, and you can find the results of it in the January or the February 2025 board meeting.
February 2025 board meeting.
But I'm talking before you guys.
Before.
Oh yeah, probably way before
Yeah,
us.
yeah, like years
The
ago.
most recent
Years
one,
ago.
yeah.
Cause I've been on the board for quite a few years now, and you seem familiar to me, so.
Well, you've worked with Moab Office of Tourism previously, correct?
Yes,
Florian?
yes, yeah. Like there was, we have been working back even to the days with Elaine, where we really built the partnership. Then what we kind of paused it during COVID because everything was on pause. And then afterwards, we did actually a research project similar to this to evaluate the market potential for sustainable tourism for international on Moab. And then just recently, we continued with a campaign as well. And yeah, I mean, I've been always pleased with Moab and just the results as well as just kind of the authenticity in the program. So it's like it's a very unique destination that goes very well in the international markets.
It looks like Howard.
Howard, do you have a question? I'm trying to see if you're.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
just really, what sort of lead time are we looking at for international visitors? I mean,
Good question.
Moab has a lot of like, oh, let's go to Moab next weekend. What is the average length of time people are kind of defining their trips? How far out are they doing that?
Yeah. So the lead time is usually, and it was always 6 months to answer it very clearly. But everything has changed, especially this year. Last year, a lot of people are holding back to say, I don't want to book it, I want to book it. But usually when people make the most decisions for travel to the US and choosing destinations is January, because in Europe, everyone clocks in their vacation in January for the summer, for spring, summer, fall, and they often have to block it 6 months out for 3 weeks being gone, right? So that you have to give everyone a lot of notice. And that's usually when we see the most bookings occur. But this year with the World Cup, everything can be different because like what we have seen in Europe, the World Cup is the largest event in the world. Like it's massive. It's bigger than the Olympics. A lot of people will travel for the World Cup. So the people will come here for the World Cup. And the ones that are coming here, I guarantee that will go on road trips before and after the games. And they're not shy of driving 10 plus hours to a destination. So Moab is not off the map here. It's honestly a great opportunity to tackle into that.
Thank you.
If nobody else has any questions, Florian, thank you so much.
Thanks, Florian.
To continue the conversation.
Thank you, Florian.
Thank you.
All right.
Upcoming. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. All right, if we move to item number 2, approval of minutes, December 9th, 2025. I did not see them attached. Are we?
Oh, they are attached.
Yeah,
They were attached? Okay, I just
Yeah.
wasn't able to print them. So does
Share.
anybody want to make a motion here?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
Everyone who agrees to adopt the minutes, say aye or raise your hand, both please. Howard, Alex, okay, looks like, and Rebecca too, it's unanimous, thank you. And then we have the 2026 MTAB meeting schedule. I know last year there was some conversation about people wanting to move days and times around, but I know when we all interviewed, we agreed to Tuesdays at 3 o'clock. If there is no opposition to continuing with this, if someone would like to make a motion to continuing with that process.
I'll make a motion to continue having our meetings.
I'll
The second
second.
Tuesday of each month, other than July, with no meetings. Or to continue on at 3 p.m. to continue on through 2026.
Thanks. And Wendell seconds. All of those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Hi.
Rebecca, are you good? Yep, I see it. Thank you. That's unanimous also. Now we would like to have a presentation of Madden Media 2026 Media Plan and Review of the 2025. Thank you. We had a fabulous presentation for 2 hours yesterday. We'll obviously be having a condensed version today, but I feel like everyone on this board is going to benefit from seeing and learning what Leslie brings. I learned a lot yesterday about things that made me feel hope. So I like to feel hope.
Well, that is great to hear. So like Lori said, Leslie Robal, I am the Senior Director of Destination Strategy at Madden. So I get the privilege of collaborating with the Moab team, the board, and then our team, as well as multiple vendors to really determine what is success and how do we get there. And so just a little bit of a summary of where we've been, which I feel like is always important to set the scene. So how we really looked at this is what's the problem we're trying to solve, right? So coming in, those goals were very clear that we needed to pick up tourism in a responsible way, and that the county was preparing themselves for lower collections, like lower tax collections, right? So important for us to make sure that we're driving visitation, but we're also thinking about local businesses, that we're also thinking about how are we spreading that dollar, not just bringing people to the outdoors, but also bringing people to stay in hotels. And so what you'll see today is we talked a lot yesterday about the review of our plans, where we found success, where we saw opportunity, and today's focus is really diving into year 2 or 1.5, I guess, of what that plan looks like. So seeing a lot of success in the tactics that we've already navigated down, you'll see us picking up a lot of those within this next calendar year. So I want to talk a little bit about how we think about media planning. And a lot of this, of course, is going to reinforce how we think about the traveler's funnel, right? So on the top of that funnel, we really think about discovery. So that is where we're trying to kind of, you know, like we've talked about with the brand or with creative, we're trying to evoke a feeling. We're trying to have people have an awareness of Moab, right? If you're going to purchase a product, if you're going to go to a place, you need to make sure you understand what it is and what that differentiator is. So within that kind of discovery where we're casting a little bit of a wider net, we're focusing more on some of that general messaging for each one of our audiences. So those tactics or media channels that are going to support that is high impact video storytelling. So that's going to be your things like connected TV. It's going to be YouTube. And it's also going to be looking at being able to get additional value across those efforts. We're also focused on paid social. So when we talk about paid social, that is a lot of Meta. And so Meta is thinking about both Facebook and Instagram. Within that, and a little bit further down the funnel, we're also doing some lead capture. And so that lead capture is, again, making sure we're getting a little bit tighter with our targeting, and we're identifying those people who are not only am I interested in Moab, but I want to know more. I want to feel a little bit more special. I want to get information tailored to me. So that's where we can bring them in, connect them with our guide, but also bring them into our email funnel, better understanding when they're going to travel, what they're interested in, and again, have some more tailored messaging towards them. We'll also have programmatic here, which is really when we're thinking about those digital ads running across multiple spaces. And so our media director, Caitlin, has shared that isn't just, hey, let's show up anywhere. It's making sure that that is contextual. And so when we say contextual, we're saying someone's already looking for Utah, someone's already looking for Moab, or they're looking for different attractions or products that we have within this market. So it's making sure that those ads are showing up to people who have already showed a little bit of interest. I always think of it as you looked for a dishwasher and now that dishwasher is following you forever. So again, it's making sure that we're connecting with those people who are interested and fall within our markets. And then digital out of home. So that is a variety of efforts. So you can think of that as a digital billboard. You can think of it as street signs. There's a lot of different varieties and ways to do that. So again, this is really focusing in on awareness. It's making sure we're connecting those key messages to Moab. From there, we move a little bit further down to trust. They're already aware of Moab. Let's get them a little bit more involved. So we've talked different about multi-day itineraries. We've talked about how do we get them to really get into our restaurants, our local businesses. So this is where we would look at shifting some of that message, knowing that, hey, they want to know what else there is, right? This is also where our goals of trying to increase length of stay comes in. But to increase length of stay, they have to know more about what they can do here. And so We look to do that through some content collaborations. That's through a variety of different vendors that we're working with, again, focusing in on that storytelling. This is also where we have the ability to send out specific emails to audiences. Earlier we talked about emails from the office. These emails are from reputable vendors within the media space where we're able to really target, hey, we want to talk to these kind of people and these kind of geos. This is the story we want to tell. And then we're able to introduce Moab to a different audience. And then within that, we also have our retargeting. And so retargeting works a variety of ways. So retargeting can work in the meta space where you have already seen a meta ad, and now we're sending you another ad that's telling you some different messaging. We know you've been engaged. We're going to send you additional information. We also do this through a variety of vendors. Another way this works is we are able to capture people who have already been to the website and then send them a different message, right? We know they've been to the site. We know they've been engaged. We've piqued their interest. So we're sending them some different information and messaging. So that's where we talk about, we're thinking more about what are those seasonal experiences? What are those itineraries? Again, getting a little bit deeper. We also have our paid search. So paid search is also search engine marketing. We've talked last year about how we saw some really great success here. And so what that success means is not only were we able to drive a strong click-through rate to the site from those people who saw our ads, but we saw a really long time on the site, right? And so that tells us this is an engaged audience. These are people we want to continue to connect with. And your website is really your window, of course, to Moab, but it's also your opportunity for them to get further connected to lodging, businesses, events, different ways to connect to the destination. And then we get even further down to our visit convert, right? So this is a smaller piece of the funnel, and this is when we're going to have more OTA partnerships. So those are our online travel agents, names that you usually know. So that's our Expedia, Priceline, where we're placing ads, but we're also getting very detailed information about where people are booking, how long they're staying, what is their booking window. So there's a lot of information that we're able to use here. Furthermore, we're able to get really specific information about, based on each one of these buys, for every dollar we spend, what is that investment back into the community? And so that's some really great data that we're able to share. One of the partners within this buy is Epsilon. And so Epsilon uses core credit card transaction data. And so what's great about that is we get information back from them on a category level to tell us where they're spending money in market. So our 15% spending money in your grocery stores, our 20% spending money on lodging. And so we're not able to, within Epsilon, tell what businesses they're spending that money at, but we are able to understand within the destination where they're spending money. And again, within that data, they have to have seen the ad to then make that connection to how they're spending money. So I want to call out on all of these OTAs that what we're reporting out has to have that connection. They have to have seen the ad. So we're not bringing in people who are just booking on Expedia for Moab, and we can bring that data. We're making sure they've seen the ad, they've connected with what we're doing, and then they're booking. Other efforts here are continuing with some of those retargeting campaigns. We're also focused on some geo-targeted dynamic ads. And so a couple of the priorities we have this year outside of supporting the rebrand and continuing down our messaging is the Easter Jeep Safari, the America 250, and the World Cup. And so we'll be using programmatic as well as some geo-targeted dynamic ads showing movement, telling a larger story to help support some of these other efforts that we have going on. And then again, an important piece as we think about that really high intent, looking to convert traveler, we'll also really be focusing on those landing pages. And so just want to talk real briefly about why that is so important. And even as you think about it as a consumer, if I am seeing an ad online, right, for something at Target, if I'm going to click on that ad, my expectation is I'm going to Target and I'm going to see the bullseye, right? I'm going to see something that matches my expectation. Otherwise, I think I've gone to the wrong place, right? And then I'm going to abandon. So as we move forward, we want to make sure, as we're making updates and the team is making updates, that if we are targeting someone who is into outdoor recreation, that they're not going to a page right away that talks about restaurants, right? We want to get them further in and showcase those restaurants, but very quickly we want to make sure it feels like one experience. So our goal is to get them to the website with the information we've provided them and provide enough content and understanding of the user interaction to get them further engaged into those businesses. And so making sure that that experience is seamless is really, really important. So you can see throughout here, we have different what we call KPIs. So those are the different kind of in the weeds things that our team will be monitoring to determine whether or not these things are a success within the campaign. So of course we report out when the campaign is complete, but we need to make sure we're optimizing, updating, and being able to analyze the campaign as we move forward. So to dive a little bit further into these tactics for each one of these areas, again, most of what you're seeing here, I believe it's like 95% of what you're seeing here is an extension of what we've been doing this year. So from that discovery standpoint, where we're really pushing a broader message, we have our meta prospecting. We also have programmatic banners. We'll continue utilizing YouTube, excited at the opportunity to get some more assets there to utilize. We'll also have connected TV and digital out of home. So those are all tactics that we have utilized in the last year. And so why I want to call that out is we already have some really great learnings to continue upon, continue to be able to compare that, think about how we A/B test. So we really want to use the digital technology to make sure that we're making smarter decisions. From there, getting further down into trust, we will be doing Google PMax and SEM. So I talked a little bit earlier about paid search. Another product that we utilize almost as a kind of an always on tactic is Performance Max. And so the reason for that is Performance Max utilizes the entire Google ecosystem. And so that could be an ad showing up in your Gmail. It could be an ad showing up through YouTube. And the real advantage of this is it's optimizing the campaign across all of those tactics. So you're not just deploying these separate tactics, it's optimizing, we're working with it together to make sure that we're really pushing the creative that connects the most and that, allowing Google to really utilize the technology that it has at its feet. Continuing on that, we will be utilizing Reddit. Reddit is, has been a really strong performing channel across a lot of our clients. We'll continue utilizing Tiki. Tiki we had talked a little bit about before. Tiki is a buy that we utilize that has a chat bot associated with it. So it's popping up on the website. It's also popping up on those websites that again have those contextual triggers, so we can understand what people are searching for. And then we're able to digest that information, make updates to the creative from that, but also build content from that. So not only is it a media buy, it's a really good learning tool about what people are interested in. Our meta remarketing will continue with the paid email marketing that we talked about. Continuing down some opportunities with outside and all trails. We're also exploring a brand partnership. And so we have some follow-ups there as far as what we'll be doing there to support some events we have next year or supporting the brand rollout. And then we'll have some print publications that we'll be diving into as well. And then that last piece where we really talk about OTAs, really focusing this year on Expedia, Hopper, Sojourn, and Adara. And want to call out here in some of these tactics, not only do we have them in the plan, but we also have them as approved co-op efforts through the state. So we're getting that added bonus and additional lift from the state. So again, talking about the co-op, you're seeing some consistency there in some of those tactics. And then we'll also have a chunk of the buy that is focused on international. So we have a piece of of our overall plan that is devoted to international, but of course, there are also co-ops that the office is participating in collaboration with the state that will also be supporting international. So what you'll see is we want to make sure we're showing everything that's going on in the media landscape, but we also wanted to kind of separate what Madden is being charged with and then what the office is really leading a little bit more on the day-to-day. So this is gross to look at. So there's a lot of information in here. So this is reinforcing the different tactics we talked about. So what you'll see here is the tactic. You'll see the budget that is associated with each one of those tactics, as well as the timeline that we see associated with each one of those tactics. Some of these you'll see are blank. Some of those we're still determining. So things that we want to think about is there additional lift we want to put that goes with the brand? So there's some variation in here, but we wanted to make sure we got this in front of you guys to see how we plan for the year, and then of course get approval to be able to move forward with this. So at the very top, those discovery tactics, so those top of the funnel tactics, mostly you're going to see those as our always on approach, right? Feeling, especially with the optimizations within these platforms, we don't necessarily want to take a break. Sometimes within these tools, you stop running, and then when you restart, you're kind of starting that learning process all over again. So you're really going to see those tried and true tactics in discovery. Once we get down to trust, that's when we're bringing in a couple more of those kind of outside buys that we're utilizing. You're also seeing some more remarketing. So again, a little bit further down the funnel, you'll see that we're also, in our discussions, we know how important it is to make sure that we're not just driving awareness, that we're really bringing people into Moab and staying. So as you see those total budgets, we are really trying to nurture a little bit more through this trust stage. But also have a pretty robust kind of visit convert co-op area, because we really want to make sure that as they're in that intent, that we're pushing them to convert to spend nights. And so I wanted to make sure we brought this to this group, if there's any questions about how these are allocated. Again, we're really trying to continue on the path that we've set this last year. Making sure that we're continuing down, having our different audiences, tailoring the messaging to that, and then executing that type of tailoring throughout.
And then I would just note, I noted this yesterday in the workshop, but this board approved the total budget before we went through the MOT budget. This breaks that out further. Yesterday's workshop, the point of it was to dig into each of these tactics and show you the results that Madden was getting, so that you could feel confident that they'll continue forward in investing in these things at these levels. I think plan is to ask for a vote to approve this and then send this on to the commission for approval, because it triggers the purchasing policy. But just wanted to give you guys a reminder on that and a little bit of background.
Yeah, and I want to note too, this is our direct ad spend with Madden. Our total contract amount is $1.8 million, and you've seen that broken out. That includes, website content support and data support, things like that. And then we have another $300,000 in paid media that is noted here with MOT owned media. So that includes our UOT international marketing. We usually do $103,000 there. And our billboard leases are about $25,000 a month. And then this board also allocated another $150,000 for more of our in-house paid media projects. So that could be like content creation with influencers, and other like specific projects like that. So our total paid media budget line in our 2026 budget is around $2.1 billion.
Our 25,000 per month in billboards, how many billboards is that again? I have 5?
6.
3.
Okay.
I think it's 6.
It's 6.
It's 3 on I-70, 2 in town, and 1 at the airport.
Okay.
And I asked Leslie to add in our MOT own paid media to this, just so we could keep it in one place. When I started, I didn't even know that we were operating those billboards. So it's good to put all of our paid media in one place so this board can keep track of it.
Yeah.
Anyone who inherits can keep track of it, but it's not something that, some of it we're managing ourselves.
And that line by line breakout, we went over in our budget workshop. So if you want to go back into the record and look at it again, you can definitely do that, or I can send it to you. If anyone's curious about our other paid media efforts.
Leslie, I realize that I asked some of these questions in the past, but I'm trying to get the board awake so they know what's going on next. So the windows, as you see it now, I realize you only kind of did second half of the year. What do you see as the big shopping windows that we need to have our audience alive for and awake for our marketing?
Yeah, so the big discussion right now is really the change in booking window, right? So we know that booking windows right now are about 6 to 20 days. The things I feel like we don't necessarily have as much solid research around is the planning window. And so if we are to rewind and look at 2025, our marketing and that really big push for visitation really didn't come to our audiences until July, August. And so for us, it's trying to get top of mind earlier. I think as people think about their personal habits, people are starting to, after Christmas, you're thinking about spring break, you're thinking about, Memorial Day weekend. And so we need to get ahead of those to start to plant those seeds so that as we get to general planning and we get to those pivotal moments where we know people are going to be planning, that Moab is already within that frame of mind.
So when do you think you started, or maybe not think, when do you know by data, when did we start seeing an inflection point? When did we start seeing an impact of some of those ads?
Mostly, so we can talk about what we see in ad performance. My understanding from what we've looked at the data, you start to see that adjustment in August.
Okay. Does that sound consistent, guys? We started seeing the interest levels start to peak and things.
With like tax collection.
With tax collection, yeah, sure.
And the planning for some of the stuff that you mentioned earlier, like the World Cup and Jeep Safari and for,
250.
that's all included in here in terms of the budget.
Yes, yeah. So this is really tactic focused where we'll have, our 3 main audiences that we talk about, and then we'll have within some of those tactics such as programmatic, where we have almost niche campaigns that are focused on these additional efforts.
Yeah.
And so
Make sure those are covered.
yes, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. These are just the placements. And if
Yeah.
you remember that big number of we make hundreds of ads.
Yeah.
And so within that, this is where that hundreds of ads of creative will appear. And some of those
I
will.
just knew that we had carved that out and I wanted to make sure it was covered.
Definitely.
And Howard and Rebecca and Alex, I don't want to ignore you guys because you're essential here. Do you have any questions for Leslie at this point? In order to be able to move forward for the approving 2026?
I don't have any right now.
Good. Just want you to feel heard.
Yeah, I'm all set. Everything's been looking great. Yeah, it's been awesome.
All good, thanks.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I have a question. The co-op where would this fall at on here? When do you guys plan on starting the research and getting the plan together for the marketing co-op in the Utah Office of Tourism?
Yeah, really that starts in February. So we're already having conversations about, are there other, potential subject matter experts that we can dive into about what are some of the things that the Utah office is prioritizing. So how do we think about how that stuff integrates? Nick's been really great about leading those efforts. So we're already working on some of those conversations to then set that strategy. I also want to make sure that we're taking some time to integrate Camp 4 and tourist into, is there anything special or additional we think about going into this year with the brand? What we're trying to do is last year's approved co-ops have been what we've been focused on to help build out spring and summer this year. Right now, at a high level, that's our plan for next year, but it would be starting in February with that research, trying to tighten that in March and April to get that back to you guys.
Go ahead, Lee.
And I could say that our co-op plan this year was really just digital ad focused. So it was just supplementing what we're doing. I spent time with Leisha Coltharp, who's the director of Thermal. She's our board rep at UOT, and she's on the committee for the co-op. So she's approving the co-ops. And so we have a meeting set up with her to talk about what kind of things that committee is looking for. I've talked to Alicia a little bit about it, and they're looking for interesting projects that they can invest in. So we have some ideas about something that could be more specific, like night sky programming or something like this, maybe a partnership with San Juan County. These are the sorts of things that they like to see and that they invest in. So we plan to meet with Leisha, get a sense for what they want to do, and then start to develop a co-op plan that might go beyond just supplementing our digital ads in 2027.
We did good last year, but I mean, I think we could have done a little bit better. It kind of seemed like you guys hopped in right in the fire, and it was like, all right, guys, here we go. Like, here goes the co-op. So just wanted to see that we're ahead of that game.
Rebecca. Go ahead. Rebecca has her hand up real quick.
Hi, sorry, I just had a quick question. Is there like a more detailed marketing plan that you could possibly share? I know that our marketing team at the lodge is wanting to kind of align our marketing efforts with Discover Moab's marketing efforts as well to maximize on the dollars.
Yeah, we sure can. The other thing I want to call out is you're seeing a focused version today, but this attachment does include an appendix that breaks down the majority of these buys and provides additional information. So it might not provide as much of like, okay, what are the specs of what we're running and the you know, is it a banner ad versus a video? But I'm happy to send that to you directly too and follow up to see if there's more specific answers we can give you.
Yeah, and then
Awesome, appreciate it.
just to follow up on that, we did attach the presentation to the agenda for the public. So the presentation that happened yesterday is attached to the workshop yesterday's agenda.
And that's what I was gonna comment on. For those of you who weren't able to hear the breakdown of the advertising results and the number of rooms and the number of impressions, the number of views and the number, it was a pretty impressive feat in such a short amount of time. And so the reason I think a lot of us in here are, you know, don't have many questions is because a lot of that was explained yesterday in a very detailed manner of how each one of these falls out and what we got from last year. So that these are informed decisions, not just saying, okay, this looks good.
In between football games, anybody who didn't get to see that 2-hour meeting, give yourself a minute, and I think that you'll have hope and inspiration, but you know, don't miss the football game. It's Tuesday, there's no games tonight. You have to plan my life around that. Are there any additional questions before we call for a vote to move forward with our 2026 marketing plan with Madden Media? Additional questions? Would anybody like to make a motion and not emotion?
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the Madden Media 2026 media plan.
Anybody like to say? Okay. All right, we've got Jason on a sec. All those in favor of moving forward with 2026 Madden plan, say aye, raise your hand, please.
Aye.
We are unanimous. I'm so happy that we're so unanimous. Yeah,
Thank you,
really,
Leslie.
really.
Leslie, you are dismissed.
Yes.
You've been here presenting for days and.
Days at a time. No, we're not dismissing you. You are welcome
to stay.
to go get a coffee, have dinner. Moving on to the special events marketing grant review subcommittees. Do you want to lead on that, Ally?
Yeah, I can just tee this one up. So at the December 9th meeting, you all approved the grant guidelines and the application and scoring guidelines and things like that. So the grant is live. It's collecting applications. You set the deadline for March 1st. And so now you can decide what that review committee or review process will look like. So at the last meeting, I think there were 6 scoring guidelines on a range of 1 to 5. So Commissioner Martinez suggested maybe choosing 4 board members to review this first round of grants, and then you can come to the March 10th meeting and say like, here's our recommendation for how much money to give, and then we'll bring it to the commission on March 17th.
And if,
That's kind of your timeline.
if we choose 4 board members, that would give us a quorum.
Right.
And so that means if any meetings
Right.
would need to be noticed.
Yeah.
And that's certainly doable, and I would love for all of this to be public and transparent. That might be a good idea. I had probably tried to think of just having only 3 members so that it was less cumbersome, but thinking about now, as I'm just on the fly, which I don't do well, I would like anybody who's participating in helping that selection to maybe have the option of having it be more public and transparent and recorded. I'm gonna throw that out to the board and say, what are you guys thinking? What are you thinking?
And the reason that I said 4 is because we will have a 9th member.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, so once
Yes.
we do have that 9th member, then we can move on, and it wouldn't be a quorum. at that
Yeah.
point. But I mean, I think that's a great idea to have
Yeah.
it transparent and recorded, and so they have to go back and look.
Yeah, you could do a workshop process. You could also have the review committee do scorecards. This is how we did some of our RFPs, where everybody individually filled out a scorecard and then those scorecards became public. So especially if you have these 5 scoring guidelines and you're scoring them 1 through 5, then you'll have a point system. And then you could publish those in your March 10th meeting or what have you. But up to you guys.
Hopefully I'm not breaking Robert's Rules of Order at this point to discuss this just a bit, but Cora has really been taking the lead on this. And so I feel like we all need to incorporate, we've had some people previously that have participated. I feel like we need a really motivated group that's going to do heavy lifting. And everybody knows what their January, February, March schedule looks like. Are there members who would are there people that would like to continue to be involved that don't want to be involved?
I would like to gracefully bow out.
Okay,
My spring has become excessive.
that's totally understandable. And so the heavy lifting can be done. Are there others who'd like to maybe volunteer to be involved? I think we need at least 3.
I'll be on the first wave, I guess, if you want to call it.
That's another thing I want to point out. I'll grab you just a second, Howard. A couple more things I want to point out are, I feel like the board needs to all participate. All this heavy lifting can't necessarily be done for 12 months with just a few people, because this is a lot. Currently, as the chair, I would recuse myself from that just because I feel like the heavy lifting is pretty big there. But if we can get to 9 members and have 8 and split it into either 4 and 4, and then, each do a quarter or something like that. I'm just proposing these ideas. The board can make those decisions. But if we want to have 4 members participating, Howard, you had a comment?
Yeah, I kind of liked what Brian suggested last month, that we split the board up and really keep it a smaller, ideally 3 people on the committee. And I'd be happy to do the first wave of grants because my time schedule is better right now. I don't know how much time I'd have available as we go into the second wave of grants. So I'm happy to volunteer. The one thing I would ask is, as soon as these applications come in, can you forward them to my email so I can start reviewing if I'm on that selection committee?
There's something that we have to review them all at the same time.
That's for an RFP. But no, for the grant applications, you could look at them as they.
Could you just put them in a Google folder?
Yes, they are in a Google.
That'd be awesome.
I think I emailed board members about that process and where they're being kept, but I can definitely do that again. Yeah, and score sheets are really easy for me to put.
To consider Cora, just because she's been doing this lifting also, if you're still cool with the first quarter.
Yeah.
I heard Jason say he might be willing to participate. And is there anybody else who'd like to be considered in this first 3 months, or?
Yes, the first wave.
Okay. Alex, is that something you're still interested in, or you want to maybe go the second round, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, if you want to roll with 4, I can do the first round, or if you want to do 3, I'll roll with the second round.
I need a motion.
The reason I say 3 is if you have 4 of us, then you have to do a formal meeting. And
Agreed.
so if you're doing anything as a subgroup, as a subcommittee, if it becomes 4, then I think it maybe requires a bit more formality.
Agreed.
So if it's
Would
3
anybody like to
people,
make
we
a
don't have to kind of go through the, posting a meeting. We can do it a bit more informally before we present formally to the board.
I get that, but I still like the transparency idea of it.
I'm with you. I agree. I
Of
think
course,
it's
we're
good.
9 now, so it might be okay. Sorry, we're 9 as a board, so.
We're going to be 9 as soon as, I don't believe we have any applicants yet. It's open and wide open for addition, but we're going to put out Dana's gonna put out a new publication tomorrow and do blitz.
Even if it's 3, still be posted and still be transparent.
It could definitely still be a workshop.
You know what? Let's go with 4. Well, no, excuse me. Would anybody like to make a motion about how to proceed with this?
I'll make a motion. The first wave of application is a group of 3, Jason Taylor, Howard Chisholm, and Corey Phillips. And we done posted and open to the public.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's Jason. Can we call for a vote, or does there need to be additional discussion?
Just real quick, Ally, thank you for the work that you did on this.
Oh,
Thank you for the
yes,
work that you did
very
on this
much.
As well, and pushing this.
It's pushing along.
Thank you for that, Brian.
Thank you very much.
It's a lot, it's a lot. All right, those in
Just
favor,
one
oh,
second.
go ahead, sorry.
So
more
we're
discussion.
planning for 3 this time. Are we planning for 4 for the second wave of
If
applications?
someone would like to make
Or
a
do we want to
motion,
keep a 3?
would
3 and
someone like to
3?
make a motion about how to proceed with the next group after March?
So we can check that box.
Oh, wait, will you, hold on, my computer's.
That's all right.
Wait, pause.
The
Check
internet went down.
issues.
It's mine went down too,
Oh,
so.
Yeah,
I'm not
Wait a minute, we
getting.
can't tell.
Yeah. Sorry.
Internet down.
Star Halls is working.
Our hall doesn't even have internet.
I don't.
What did you say?
Yes, they
She said Star Hall's internet is working.
Starbucks.
Is
I
working?
thought you said Starbucks.
But I don't have that password.
Yeah, okay, hold on. I think it's just.
You just.
Oh, wait, maybe not. It's thinking.
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there, Matt's still here for 49.
You can all get on
We
my
can't
hotspot.
talk.
How are they on?
Does anybody know when the
don't know.
next wave will be?
Wouldn't it be April for us? If you guys do January, February, March? So do you know when the next, well, Ally, just let- oh, actually, you know what? I don't know if we can talk because we're not recording.
The internet went down here, so just hold, please.
We can
Please
hear
stand
you.
by.
We can hear you.
It's just not recording on the owl.
Yeah.
Oh, that felt good.
That's weird that that still works.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, on a side note, yes, Melanie and Joette had talked about cloud seeding and the city throwing a little bit on it. And then, I didn't know if you had heard anything about it as well. Joette's gone, and so they're trying to, Glissa's trying to figure out what it'll. On that, so if you wanna
It's funny because like,
kind of figure that out.
I had a meeting last night with Mel, Joette,
Uh,
and we talked about cloud seeding, like we talked about it happening and stuff.
Because
But it
previously
was,
they had talked about it.
it's never come to the council.
Yeah, I know, I hadn't come to the council, actually. You've heard something from Joe
No,
about it.
No, I haven't heard anything.
Patrick?
Yeah. I feel like I heard that, maybe it was in your commission meeting, You guys brought it up or
We
something?
brought it up,
Yeah.
we gave 10 grand for it.
Yeah.
San Juan County's in on it, Bliss is in on it. The water district in San Juan County is in on it, the Reds are in on it.
Oh,
And
really?
so, yeah, we're just trying to, it's like $300 and something thousand
Is it really?
grant that we
No,
got. We had a
I don't have it.
$50,000 match. We're trying to match it.
We're the best for
I don't wanna.
So computers are down.
Yeah,
Wait,
I don't know about it.
Okay, let me try to restart.
I
this
have a
meeting.
Mac, you might wanna look at the PCs.
Okay.
Used to Max too.
Oh, great, good to know, because nobody else is.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Allie's
I don't know.
computer is the one that's,
Yeah, hers is-
Yeah, my computer.
that needs to be dominant.
Yeah, so,
The
yeah,
alpha.
yeah. Yeah, we talk about it. Do we have any? Dudes are hanging out with drones, just waiting for the ignitions.
Yeah, I think so. It's actually, it's. How much it works, I mean, they're doing a huge study on that, but. So normally when they did the cloud system here, it doesn't work with our mountains, just with the uplift that we have. So the uplift doesn't pick it up high enough, fast enough to get down to the mountains. When we're releasing the. So what these guys are doing is when there's a storm, they're taking drones out. They're flying the drones and so it's all, they're releasing something like that.
Oh, really?
That's cool. So Ben must have been watching it, like farm trip. I'm watching, I can see the line of clouds right where they're, right where they're.
I don't think we.
I can see the snow falling right where they're.
Wow.
I was watching it.
Wait, where was that?
And that's that line right there.
That's cool. Nice.
So.
Wow.
Well, this, I guess I could restart it from now on. It's just-
That's, I don't know.
But,
We can do it like,
and also,
like those.
if that was.
I'll, be back in a minute.
Okay, is this?
Dark Canyon.
That's great.
What's up? That's just.
Okay, well, maybe I can just.
You just restarted it.
But
you. It was so funny. Like, we were talking about that.
Hotspot. That's what I'm doing now.
Because one book-
Mine's not working.
And there was, ask you do. You know, like today, like I'm driving down the street, I look over, there's not even the kids sled on the truck, I go, I was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just log in on that one. Sorry, funny. I think that'll be. So the wire internet in the building is working fine. It's the Wi-Fi that's.
Mm-hmm.
So unusual.
I think we lost the meeting.
Yeah, I guess I'll disconnect and reconnect or something.
Yeah.
See you in a minute.
Are you on vacation? Are you in Moab?
Yeah, I'm at home right now.
Okay.
I had
I
the
can
flu
s-
for the last week and it's been, I don't really want to, still
I
recovering.
had the flu too. It was awful.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's terrible. Yeah, 5 days of like nasty.
Ugh,
Happy New Year, Jesus.
right?
Yeah, as soon as I closed the restaurant, it was like, all right, I'm down and I can't leave the house for days. Okay, we're back.